Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today our topic is SQL for beginners. When we're searching for software or data related jobs online, we often find such a statement: familiarize with SQL. Well, when we Google about SQL tutorials, we likely will find some syntax like English. In some SQL exercise, we find different choices of SQL flavors like MySQL, SQL Server, and Postgres. So what is SQL, how we should learn it, and how it will be helpful in jobs? If we search the definition of SQL, Google will tell us that SQL, whose full name is Structured Query Language, is a programming language for storing and processing information in a relational database. Let's break down this sentence a little bit. First, SQL is a programming language. It's not Java, not Python, not C++. It's just a language itself. Next, is the purpose of using this language is to query, store, and process information, or called data. Finally, the relational database is, in my opinion, the most important part we have to understand before learning SQL. What is a relational database? For SQL beginners, you can simply think it like data is stored as tables, and each table consists of rows and columns. Wait a second. This way of data representation sounds quite familiar. Yes, we should have used some spreadsheet tools to represent data in tabular format, for example, Excel or Google Sheet. Now, here is a table called Semester 1, contains the students' exam marks. The three columns here are integer column student ID, variable length character column varchar of subject name, and integer column of exact marks. If I just want to have a glance at what is in the entire database, we can write like select asterisk from semester 1 limit 100. Here asterisk means all the columns. Limit 100 is always helpful when you don't know how big your data is. Well, to check the math mark of student number 1, you can write as select exam marks from semester 1 where student ID equals to 1 and subject name equals to math. To check all the marks of the subject physics from highest to lowest, you will need to select student ID exam marks from semester 1 where subject name equals to physics, ordered by exam marks DESC stands for descending. To check the average mark for each student over all the subjects he takes, select student ID AVG stands for average, exam marks as average mark, which is an alias from semester 1, grouped by student ID. This is called the aggregation in SQL. What if I just want to find whose average mark is less than or equal to 70? I will just add a having average exam mark smaller or equal to 70 statement. The having have to use after group by. Now I want all names of students who have their programming scores more than 80. Notice this table semester 1, we don't have information about names, okay. No worries, I have another table called student name, which has a mapping of student ID to names. Well, to combine information from more than one database table, we will need the join keyword. Well, if you want to insert new data into this table, you can write as insert into semester 1 followed by column names, values followed by your values. Or we want to update student number 2's programming mark, we can write as update table name semester 1 set exam marks equal to 88 where clause to select that row. To delete data from a database table is easy but dangerous, as this action is not undoable if there's no backup of your database. Okay, to practice SQL first, learn the syntax from online tools like W3 Schools. Once you are comfortable with it, tackle some real-world questions using this data. If you struggle in coming up questions, let ChatGPT do it for you. Now it's time to write SQL on your resume to get your dream IT job. There are two types of hot IT jobs that need to know SQL. The first job type is usually called data something. You are a human and you need to work with data on a daily basis. And those data usually have some business value to analyze. You may need to find out the patterns and trends from data and then make some beautiful graphs, charts, and finally present people with your findings. If you're interested in this kind of job, you can search for job titles like business analyst, data scientist, or BI developer. The second type of job is more software related. The one who interacting with data is not human but your software. Here, let's say your software wants to answer a simple question from your user, what's the weather today? Well, to present this information to your user effectively, you need to write some code in some programming language, not SQL, let's say JavaScript, to establish a connection with your relational database server and send the SQL statement to the server. And the server will respond to you back with the tabular format data, and you need to write the code again to pass those data into a good way that your user can consume or visualize it. This type of jobs usually require experience in at least one programming language as well. Database administrator, system administrator, and SRE are jobs you can search if you are curious about how to safeguard the usage of servers on the server side. On the other side of the application development, you can search jobs involved in the SDLC, like software engineer, front-end, back-end engineer, data engineer, software QA engineer, and DevOps. Now here's a question. I'm a software engineer. Do I always need to learn SQL to work with my database? The answer is no. As the definition of the SQL stated, SQL is only useful for retrieve data stored in a tabular format, also known as Relational Database Management System. But nowadays, many software architectures choose to use something called NoSQL database, stands for not only SQL, but usually means you don't need to write SQL at all. Some popular NoSQL databases are document-based, key value stores, graph database, and wide column stores. If you see the job description includes experience in NoSQL database, do search a bit more on how NoSQL database works.